Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. How you doing? And you're very welcome to this week's edition of Castlerea Cavaliers basketball podcast with myself, Aidan Raftery, and of course, as we do every week, we also have the club, we also have the coach and player, Thomas Callan. Hello, Thomas. How are you? Are you well?
I'm good, Aidan. Thanks for having me back. Looking forward to catching you up on all things Castlerea basketball and looking forward to our first video recording as well.
No problem, yeah. And this will be going up on YouTube. So for anyone that's interested and wants to see it on YouTube, and also it will be podcasted and available on Spotify, and it'll be also on Friday Sport as well. So I suppose we'll kick off with the men's no game last weekend, but. An interesting game ahead this weekend. One that you're going to be you were probably preparing for last weekend. I suppose with the weekend off, you were able to get in a bit extra training.
Yeah, a few of us got in shots over the weekend, so it was grand and handy just to get a few. I know boys are kind of getting back into football training now, so we didn't go mental. We didn't have a scrimmage or anything, but a few of us got in, got a few shots up, so um, that was grand. And yeah, we have Athlone at home, and um, they're pretty high in the league, but I think we'll fancy ourselves against them. We lost in the reverse fixture. We went up to Clush Kieran and we lost by 3 points. It was 53-50 it was a dismal enough game to watch, fairly low scoring. So we definitely underperformed that day. You know, there was we just were kind of that was one of our kind of low performances that first half of the season when things just weren't really clicking. So we worked a lot on the offense since then. We had a bit of success with it against Ballina, a lot of success with it against Longford. So hopefully we can get back at home as well at our home court and apply the offense. And um, Athlone will be backing themselves. You know, they've gone well since we've played them. I think they're third or fourth in the league, so they'll be looking to secure a top four spot or at least solidify their chase after a top four spot. So they'll fancy themselves as well. But we look at it as a game we can definitely win.
That's great, and I suppose you know if you could you have that you have one win already as well. So if you can back up that with this win, and I suppose really from a first and second team point of view, I suppose the top two, um, they would have played each other in the first half of the season already. I suppose how did that go between the top two?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a pain for us because it's Mayo basketball is kind of back strong. The top two are Mayo Meteors, they're based in Castlerea, and the
Hmm.
Ballina Braves. And it's kind of a pain trying to get refs because we used to always get the refs from Mayo to come over and do our games on a Saturday evening, but now
Yeah.
they're taken off out there. But it's that's only a gripe from me, you know. But it's great to have Mayo basketball kind of back strong, particularly in Ballina. And I know the Meteors in Castlebar, or Mayo Meteors, I should call them, are they're really pushing on. They're getting numbers down. They're getting good crowds to their games. So um, they're making a big push at really establishing Mayo basketball back on the scene. Ballina pulled away. I think they've played once already this year. And Ballina pulled away and won by 20 points, I think, at the end. Joe Henry was a ref in it, as far as I know, as our club man, Joe Henry. So um, yeah, he reckons it was a close game, and then Ronan McGarity, you know, Ballina's kind of main guy. At least when they need him to play, when they need him to, stretch a lead out or get a win, he'll step up, and I think he was the difference in that one. Similar to against us, once he decided it was time to win and build a lead, he brought his teammates along with him, and that's what happened between Mayo Meteors and Ballina. So Ballina are looking strong. I know they're playing again in a few weeks. Um, in what should be, because Mayo Meteors really have to win that one if they want to get themselves back within reach of winning the league, because it doesn't look like Ballina are going to lose to anyone else, So, yeah, it's a fascinating matchup, and it's great to see a rivalry, not just one Mayo team back going well, but two Mayo teams going back and having a bit of a rivalry between them, because Mayo basketball was very strong down the years. Obviously, Ballina had Mary Monk in the Super League in years gone by. So it's good to see um, those steps back to maybe getting back to where it was at down, 10, 20 years ago.
That's it, and I suppose really from the lone college's point of view as well, they'd have some very good players as well. So it'll be interesting for to see how they did well, this weekend as well, to get a knowledge of their I suppose their strengths and weaknesses. And I know I bang on about that nearly every week as regards that, but it is very interesting, like when you see matches between the top two, because you learn a lot from them, and especially like you just said there was the other coach there, the guy that was reffing it, is from Castlerea Cavaliers as well. It gives you a
Yeah.
good in-depth knowledge of I suppose where you can gain a bit of an advantage or whatever, or see where you it helps you plan basically, for when you're playing
Yeah.
those. And it also I suppose it kills two birds with one stone, if you pardon the pun, in that you're not just studying one team, you're studying both of the strongest teams in the league.
Yeah, it was Joe. We were training with the under 16 lads the day after he ref that top two game, and he gave me the rundown of Ballina. They shoot a lot of threes and they get out in the fast break, and he had all the details down. He knew their threats, and now it was great information, and we tried to use it, but it didn't help us very much.
Yeah.
Our game against Ballina, they probably shot about 6, 7 threes in that first quarter, and even good 3-point shooting team is a good 3-point shooting team. Like, you can do your best to get a hand up, but if they're falling, they're falling. And you just have to tip your hat to, you can play a great defense, but sometimes it's just better offense. So yeah, it was good. It's great to have Joe out there, kind of keeping an eye on the other teams, and same with the women's league. He does a lot of women's games, so he kind of gives me the information, and I use it as much as I can, as much as it will help. So yeah, it's good to have a man around the league, and I think he's very well respected. Obviously, Joe had the run with the boys this year to the All Ireland, and down the years he's been involved in schools basketball and LLR basketball as well, and bringing it on. So yeah, good to have a man around the league doing a bit of reffing and a bit of sly scouting as well for us.
That's great, and yeah, it benefits you as well I suppose when you're planning playing against opposite other players as well. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game this weekend. And I suppose what are you looking forward to doing, or what do you think you need to work on or play, for this game, or what way are you going to play the game this weekend?
I'd say we'll fancy ourselves. I know we're missing David Quinn, which is a big loss for us. He's away. He's a few personal things on, but we'll still fancy ourselves to match with them physically. It's Ballina are very strong and big and strong, but I don't think Athlone are just at that level in terms of their physicality and their how intense they play under the boards. So that'll definitely be a big um, point of promise for us, let's say, because we'll back ourselves to match them under there a bit more. They killed us with corner threes the last day up there. They'd put a screen on our corner guy, and Mel McGurr, who's a veteran of the league, he used to play for Longford down the years, plays for Athlone now. Would just pop out to the corner and pop in a three. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, and hopefully trying to either get the guy from the top of the zone defense to come down to get to that shot, or to make sure the guy at the back of the defense beats the screen to get out to it. So that's something I just remember being sickeners from the last day. You'd go down and score, or you'd go on a bit of a run against them, and then they just have two offenses where Mel would sneak around and pop off a screen to the corner, and just they're back. They have 6 points back in no time. So yeah, I will be keeping an eye on that. Just defensive sharpness to what they want. Mel wants to shoot. They move the ball well inside, so we'll try and only commit one guy to the 3-point line and keep guys in the paint to try and fill up the passing lanes. So just defensive sharpness. We know where they're going to be strong, and hopefully we can get quick rotations and move our feet quickly enough to counter that. Offensively, then we, again, like I've said, we want to focus on ourselves. It's been a struggle this year as a whole trying to get an offensive rhythm. So we're just
Yeah.
going to focus on ourselves and executing the few sets and the few plays we've been practicing the last few weeks.
And I suppose, would you say you have a height advantage, as in you have certain players that are taller than some of your players are taller than their players, and if that is the case, how are you going to use that? How are you going to use that height advantage?
I wouldn't say so, especially with David out now. I wouldn't say we have a height advantage. Um, that doesn't necessarily mean we can't beat them on the rebounds. Joe Fleming is going to be in there. He's outside of David. He's probably our tallest player. But it's know-how. Myself and Joseph Henry will play low in that defense, and I would say coaching wise, I'll say to anyone I'm coaching, just because you're small or if you're not as tall doesn't mean you can't beat someone to a rebound. If you get your feet moving and get in position as soon as the ball leaves the shooter's hand and do it early, and you get position and box them out of there, you use your back and the back of your body and your legs, and you can back them out of there 10 feet. You can move a player legally, and get them out of there. Then it takes it away from a 50-50 in their favor, and it just puts you in position to get the ball and get it to it easier. Or it takes a tall player out of the equation, lets your teammate get the ball. I always look at schools basketball. Joe Henry tends to play a 1-3-1 defense, where the two wing players of the three will get back and box out, and it'll let the back player and the middle player, who are generally your big players, your tall players, go get the rebound. And in that team, let's use Sandra Kane, Lisa O'Rourke's school team. They won All Irelands when they were under 16. It'd be the likes of Laura Fannin, Megan Keaveney, they wouldn't be within 6 inches of the tallest players on the team, but it was just their ability and anticipation to get position and use their bodies to clear out under the basket, and that would let Lisa, that would let Clara Neary, Holly Hopkins go get the rebound. So in our team, me and Joseph Henry, we'll be boxing out strong. The lads out top, Sean McDermott, whoever gets in, Darrell Lowry will probably get minutes now the next day. He's been going well. We'll be boxing out strong, hopefully keeping the challenges away from Joe Fleming and letting him go get the rebound. So rebounding, it's a funny one. It's not just two players going for a ball. There's a lot of work and anticipation that goes in, even well before the shot goes up, just on positioning and fighting for that spot to put yourself in with the best chance of getting the rebound. So no, we won't have a height advantage, but that doesn't mean we can't impose ourselves on the rebounds.
And I suppose against a quality opposition like this as well, I suppose being in the right place at the right time, and I suppose being able to read the game, especially when you're up against good teams like that, that's kind of it's the little things that could win or lose you the game. When you're playing teams like this.
Yeah, definitely, and there's not going to be much between us, so it could be either a mistake or it could be a good read of the game. They might try and run a play where we recognize where they want to go with the ball, and if we anticipate it, well, we'll stop it and get a good defense. Or it could go the other way, where they know what we're looking for, and just it takes one player to just step in a passing lane or get around a screen that they weren't meant to see, or like I said, coming down with a big rebound, getting yourself in position early. So yeah, there's not going to be much between us, and it could be that basketball IQ and quickness of mind to make plays that could be the difference.
And I think that's something that you do have in abundance. Like you have very good players, very experienced players, and that'll be key on at the weekend as well. And I suppose moving on to the ladies now as well. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way you wanted to.
Yeah, we were in Longford last Friday night to play Drumlish, and I think the result will have shocked most of the league. Drumlish aren't a team that a lot of people would be worried about, but I think we went down there and we overlooked them. Generally, I don't think our energy was just right. And again, just the clicking of the offense, we did okay on defense. I will say I'll hold my hands up. I sat them into a 3-2 defense, and the goal was kind of to keep Drumlish on the outside. And it was kind of passive, it was kind of too defensive. We switched to a 1-3-1 then, which kind of allowed our girls to put a bit more pressure on and to trap Drumlish players in situations and just aggressively try and get the ball back, which kind of suited us a bit more. So I think it was too late when we switched to that to try and change the tide of the game. So I'll hold my hands up as a coach in that sense. We had good performances. We had got open shots. A lot of them went in falls. Anika Lavin hit a big three down the stretch. Sandra Kane as well hit a big three, as you'd expect from her down the stretch, to try and claw us back into it. And Sarah Tyrrell was just, she's so solid inside scoring. Like she'll always score. Doesn't matter who she's playing with, what team she's playing with. She'll just catch the ball inside, rip it through one dribble, and she just has a lovely touch from that 5 to 10 feet range. So we had good performances, but I just think maybe my decision to play that 3-2 kind of held us back from like bringing our energy and fitness and getting us out in the fast break because um, the 1-3-1 that we switched to kind of allows for that more. That being said, Drumlish, like they punished us, they knocked down shots, especially late, that 3-2 to keep them on the outside. We were still in that set on defense, and one of the Drumlish girls just found herself open. We weren't getting out to her, and she tossed up a 3-point shot and it banked in off the backboard. And sure, sometimes you're like, how in the world like would that go in? And then a few possessions later, they got a corner three. And with these teams, especially like maybe if they're not expecting a win, but then it gets to the third quarter, gets to the fourth quarter, and they're like, hold on, we're still in this game. They hit a three, and then all of a sudden the confidence is up. All of a sudden our girls are like, we need to try, and they're under pressure to get it out of the fire, and then when you're playing under pressure, you're playing anxious, and it just, the longer the kind of underdog stays in it, and I kind of mentioned it in the preview to the boys final, like if we could stay in it into the late stages, we might have a chance. Now it didn't happen for our boys, but it happened for Drumlish against us, where they just, the longer they stayed in touch, the more belief they got, and they got their 1 point lead, and we drew up a good play for the last shot. I had Sarah Tyrrell get on the ball coming off screens to try and drive to the basket, and then I had Sandra as a bailout pass for three. So Drumlish defended it well. They cut off Sarah from the lane, so Sarah did throw that bailout pass. Sandra shot the three, and it just rimmed out. It just missed. So, and like I'd run up the exact same play again. I'd go to Sarah again because another time she might get to the basket and get that score, and I'd draw it up for Sandra again because I've talked about her at length about her shooting ability. So I'd have them exactly. I'd go to the same two again if I was in that situation again. So the trust is there. It just didn't happen on that occasion. But yeah, it was disappointing. We're going to have to dust ourselves down and just go into other games, because now all of a sudden we're in a top four. Our top four qualification is in doubt, having dropped that one, and the likes of Boyle and Longford's first team are going to look at that result and be like, okay, Castlerea dropped one. Here's our chance to get in ahead of them into the top four. So we're going to have to go again and just lift the standards. The big thing with the girls, kind of similar with the lads, is the offense is just kind of not clicking. Our personnel, the people who are maybe not as around as much tend to be all the post players. So we're going to have to get used to playing with one post player and 4 outside players. So that's something we're going to look at in preparation for the rest of the league.
And I suppose really looking at the way it plays is like we say every week, I suppose the positives and the things you need to work on from last weekend's game.
Yeah, well, I think it was a learning curve for me. I was definitely too conservative with the defense. Rather than putting pressure on them and forcing turnovers, or at least giving ourselves the chance to force turnovers, I kind of had the girls sitting back in a bit too much and not pressuring, and putting them in difficult situations. Rather, we were kind of sitting back and letting them shoot, and hoping that we got the rebound. But they punished us. They knocked down shots at big moments, and it punished that decision on my part. So definitely, and then when we switched to the 1-3-1, the girls run it excellently. There's energy. They move their feet. They get the traps in the right situations. And then when the ball does go loose, or if there is a bad pass, we're sharp to get on it. So I'm definitely going to try and apply that more and use that energy more, rather than maybe holding the girls back on defense by sitting in a bit too close to the basket. We're going to try and get them out to try and get the ball back, rather than waiting for the other team to shoot. And then other positives, I was happy with the shots we got. They just didn't fall. Kerry Harkin had a frustrating night. Sandra as well had a frustrating night. Um, I think that one shot she made down the stretch was her one shot from three. Um, I think we need to drive to the basket more. We might need to jiggle around positions a bit to try and give players that are, better or more skilled at driving to the basket, get them in those situations. Unfortunately, Khalees Curran hurt her ankle playing football at the weekend, so we might be without her, but she would be one of the players that you'd look at that's able to beat that first player and then either score or make a play for someone else. Just to give us that, because we're great at moving the ball. Sarah's great at scoring inside. We're great at moving the ball for open shots, but I just think that penetration game is something we're missing, attacking the rim from the outside. So, yeah, so a lot learned, on positives. And that's always the case, like you said, and hopefully we can bring those into the next one.
That's it. And I suppose with these girls, seasons wise, the team might be a bit still like young at a young stage. But I suppose really, even though you're fairly young in certain games, you have been in pressure situations, and it's about when you're in those pressure situations, having the mental strength and knowing how to get out of those. I think more or less over the last couple of seasons since you've started, you seem to have handled that very well most of the time.
I suppose, yeah. I suppose the women's team, generally it goes one way or the other. If one team is better, they tend to pull away to a big lead. Um, if And then same the opposite. This the score lines or the score differences tend to be pretty big. But in the close ones, I know we missed the last shot there against Drumlish, but I drew up a play on the spot. We hadn't really worked on it ever before, and they executed it very well. And we got a good shot. We got exactly the shot we kind of choreographed, or at least one of them options that we choreographed, if you like. Um, so even though we missed the shot, we did execute and we handled that moment very well. Nobody decided to play hero basketball. Everybody allowed themselves to be coached, and I was happy with who ended up taking the last shot and who we looked for initially, looking for the last shot. So, even though we missed the shot, they kind of held that situation and executed well, and that was a big pressure moment. Like I said, yeah, even though we are on the young side, um, we have a lot of experienced players. Obviously, Sarah Tyrrell coming in brings a lot of experience and know-how and just solidity on her decisions on the ball and competitiveness on defense. But no, there's girls there with All Ireland medals, 2 and 3 All Ireland medals from schools. So they've played on really big stages. And you can't count that out just because it was under 16 or for schools basketball. They've played in the national arena in cup finals and league finals. So I'm very happy that the girls can handle themselves in those close games down the stretch. Against Drumlish, we didn't throw it away. We had good offenses and we got good looks, but a lot of them just didn't fall, or the last pass just, it was the right idea, but it just didn't come off. Things like that. So yeah, the girls are level-headed. They're focused. When they go on, they're very willing to be instructed. And that's what I like about coaching them. They'll listen to what I have to say and they'll try and apply it. So, and I'm very happy to be with them and have them kind of, like I said, apply what I've instructed them to do in those pressure situations, because I know they'll either apply it or they'll use their basketball experience to work something else if it's not on.
That's it. And I suppose the great thing is, as with the men's team as well, it has to be said, it's about trusting the process, isn't it? And learning about the different tactics or what you want to do in certain situations, like what you work on training. Sometimes it might go your way, sometimes it mightn't, but it all comes down to maybe the players and I suppose yourself as well. I suppose not really being quick off the thing to change things too quickly. It's about trusting the process, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And we had a few of the girls got in then Sunday for an hour. I think it was important after, because the vibes were fairly bad after losing Friday night. So I think it was important, to get back in on Sunday, and a few of them got in, and we just did an hour of shooting and a bit of offensive motion, nothing too hectic. Didn't talk about the game too much, just to get move on from it, and I said to them it's important to kind of have your last sports experience, be it basketball or football, be a positive one. We've had a lot of losses this year with the men's team, and I always try and the following morning or afternoon or whenever I can, just get into the gym for a half an hour, 45 minutes, just to get a bit of shooting, listen to bit of music, just to kind of have your last or most recent basketball experience be, a healthy one and a positive one. And so you're not dwelling on things, you're not dwelling on a game you lost or a mistake you made or whatever. So yeah, trust in the process and just moving on to the next one. I see it with the boys. They lost an All-Ireland final. And man, they were an example of, the attitude. They were even on the way home, they were like, will we get in at the weekend and do a bit of shooting, So yeah, trust in the process and just always trying to be better for the next occasion, and I think we have that kind of attitude in both our teams, because we've both men's and women's teams and the lads with the All-Ireland final have had setbacks this year, but I think every player has kind of had that good mental attitude of, okay, what's next?
That's it. And I suppose that brings us nicely on to the under 16 boys. I suppose really, like we were saying the last day, having unfortunately been defeated by St. Finian's, in that All Ireland final. I suppose because they still had fixtures at club level, it was great for them to get back to club level and have basketball, like we said, that they can kind of get that out of their system, the All Ireland final. I mean, out of the system, that in their own head they can put it to bed and have this fixture. And I think it's kind of key like that. They were looking forward to getting back to their club once that was dealt with, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I didn't go. We had our own training there Tuesday night when the boys went down. With Joe, I think they went to Mohill and they played Mohill, and Ballinamore came down. So they played the two games in the one evening, just to save on a bit of travel and a bit of time as well. So yeah, I didn't hear much. Joe said they just won comfortable in both games. Everybody got a good run out, in the final. There was a few lads didn't get as much minutes, because of the occasion. Particularly some of the younger lads there, the second years, let's say, that I'll be coaching. We've a few second year schools matches coming up. They got a good few minutes, which I was happy with. Yeah, so just comfortable wins, and I think they were expecting it and they were looking forward to it, just to go out and enjoy it and just express themselves, especially after the final last week. I was talking to a few of them in school and they were like, yeah, 1 by 20, 1 by 30. So I don't have much details on it. I know James Hawkshaw, as soon as he seen me in school, was like, oh, he scored a 3-pointer, which would be a rare occurrence for James, but he was looking forward to letting me know about it anyway, saying he's like Steph Curry and saying it was a step back, describing everything. So it's good for James. And to be fair to James, he's kind of a player that he's been steady at training, and he can shoot a bit. He just needs to back himself a bit more on offense and let the game come to him a bit more. I think he's one of these guys who's keen to impress. But if he just lets it come to him more, he's definitely got the skill and shooting ability and know-how, to be better. And I think Tuesday evening was a good opportunity for the likes of James and those guys to get minutes and express themselves in a few low pressure games.
That's it. And I suppose from the likes of those games as well, that they prove useful for the players that, getting game time, but also maybe you might see different things, that they've improved on, or things that you might say, well, right, they need to improve on that. This player needs to improve on this, and that player needs to improve on that. And then when it comes to a training session, you can say to each player and say, right, you need to improve on this, and this is how we'll just work on that. And then there'll be better players. There'll be better players for that then for upcoming games.
Yeah, and it just gives guys an opportunity to play with the shackles off. Um, I would say playing friendlies when I was younger and building the skill level. You might get minutes in a game and you might try to jab right and go left and maybe try a left hand layup, or like Hawkshaw in that game shoot a 3-pointer. And then if you make it there, you're like, oh well, that worked. Let me try this. It gives you confidence to try it then again and again and again. And then you get the taste for it. And then before you know it, you're scoring 8 points a game. And then, you kind of get the feel for it because it feels good. It feels good to score. It feels good to make a 3-point shot. So, and it just spurs you on to like, well, I want to do that more. So it'll get boys practicing more. It'll get boys working on their game more. And, it just allows them to see what works, see what doesn't work. And I think the kind of stronger lads, the likes of Kevin Hester, Jamie Dow, Joseph Botton, appreciate, because they're leaders on the team, they'll appreciate, they love to see, their teammates having stuff work for them. Or like Kevin would love to find one of the lads that doesn't get as many minutes. He'd love to find them on a cut for a layup and see them score and come on. So it's just I think it was just a very healthy evening out for them, just to get boys minutes and get boys opportunities to work on their games in a game, in that game situation. So yeah, just a great time and after the final, and it'll definitely stand to them going into the rest of my second year boys season and the rest of the under 16 club season.
That's it. And I suppose, when they're doing well at under 16, so the under 16 team, some of those players, in the future they'll make it into the senior team there, and it'll be great to see them, because these are lads with great potential. And when you consider the I suppose the experience they have of playing in these All-Ireland finals as well, that's whether they win or lose, to be playing at those levels, to be playing in All-Irelands will certainly benefit the senior team in years to come as well.
Yeah, well, that's the goal, because we knew this group was going to be strong, and hopefully they laid the foundations for, groups to come behind them, and keep a sort of, production of talent that will play senior men's in Castlerea for as long as it can last, and some of the lads definitely should. They come to all the home games and they get excited about nice plays, they get excited about defensive stops, they know what they're looking at when they're watching a basketball game, and they're really glued into the little details and the difference makers, the differences between winning and losing a game, and they celebrate things, they know basketball. So like, you might make a play that maybe somebody who's less into basketball wouldn't even notice, but the boys will be down the end then shouting and roaring, saying like, well done to our senior players. So, and it's great basketball, you're right courtside, especially in the hub. There's only one strip of chairs and it's right in the sideline. So the boys really do, or any young people getting in, really do get to see like details of the game and the emotions, and it's close up action. So, and they love, and I think a lot of them kind of see themselves, playing with me, playing with Joseph, before our time is up, definitely, and getting in that senior men's team.
That's it. You'll be inspiring them for those times. Well, they'll be probably looking up to yourselves and the likes of yourself and Joe Henry as well, and that'll be a good thing. So, listen, thanks very much for taking the time out to do Castlerea Cavaliers basketball podcast, and we look forward to doing it all again next week.
Thanks a million, appreciate it.
No problem. And you also want to give a mention to your sponsors as well?
Yeah, I'll give a quick shout out again to McGorty's Bar on Main Street. They help us out massively with running costs. Our kit sponsors, Cahill Super Value and Harmac Medical. Big thank you to them. We love having them represented on our kits. Our shooting top sponsors are Bastion Kitchen on Paxter Street and Mike Callahan Construction. So we appreciate those kitting us out for the season. And then Whispy's Discount Store, the Credit Union, to name but a few, Lions Mace, all very welcome sponsors. Amigo International Transport out in Ballina came on board this year as well. So appreciate all our sponsors, and we couldn't go ahead without you. So it's massively important to us, and hopefully your support continues into the future.
That's it. And I'd just like to let the listeners know as well, and the people watching this as well, that don't forget on Ross FM, there's the 55th draw every fortnight. It's great. It's very easy. If you want to be in with a chance of winning the money, why not help support your local radio station? community radio station. It's €1 for one envelope or 3 for a fiver. So the next one is tomorrow week. So get your envelopes in, and it could be you that wins the money. So listen, thanks very much for that, and we look forward to talking to you again next week, Thomas.
All right, Aidan, all the best.
No problem. Thanks very much. And that was Thomas O'Callaghan, the player coach from Castlerea Cavaliers Basketball Club.